bets. Nigga, where am I going? Drop the four with my cup, now I'm floating. I can't feel a thing, to be real, I just go through the motions. Where am I going? Nigga, I'm in deep like the ocean. I've been in my bag, everybody around me, I'm ghosting. Where am I going? Drop the four with my cup, now I'm floating. I can't feel a thing, to be real, I just go through the motions. Where am I going?
We are going to another episode of HardFoul Radio. This is the show that values time and puts God first. Appreciate everybody for joining me for another wonderful Wednesday. It is nice and early here in the morning. Glad you decided to wake up with me. Appreciate you. So, let's get started. You ever seen those forms on the internet where it says public apology and it relates all the reasons like didn't know better, I believed the hype, I didn't study, I didn't believe? I have to write one of those for the Indiana Pacers because at no point during the entirety of this playoffs or during the regular season did I really give the Pacers enough credit for being as good as or being as great as they have shown to be. The Pacers are up 2-0 on the Cleveland Cavaliers. And look, when you get to this point, when it's a race to 4 and you're in the playoffs, even if you want to say, well, the Cavs were a 60-plus win team, and I think Donovan Mitchell is the best player, you could use all the excuses. The Pacers are up 2-0, and they deserve the respect of being up 2-0, heading back home. They deserve the credit of being up 2-0. They have beaten Giannis, who, say what you want about the Bucks as a roster in totality. Giannis being still one of the best players in the NBA, and now up 2-0 on the 1-seed Cavs. I was wrong. It's not Monday. It's not hard left. I already gave them the hard left spot for this week. I was wrong about them. I'm wrong again. This is now the time when we do hard left and hard right. Part of it is you have to, I believe, as a person, be willing to admit when you're wrong. The other part is once you've admitted you're wrong, change the way you think, change the way you view, and reassess what you were wrong about. Tyrese Halliburton, who is a guy who I was never super high on or super crazy about, even when about 2 years ago he started to build up a lot of steam and momentum because of the 2010 games. Look, I'm wrong. If you want to go to pure basketball, right? There's been a lot of talk this season or this postseason on the internet about we're back in the too big era of basketball. And I've called all these people stupid because that's just basketball. Power forward and center have existed forever. Because we've had LeBron and Steph and this Warriors run, we have felt like, oh, everyone can play positionless basketball. Well, not everyone has LeBron James and Steph Curry and Draymond Green. So, no, everyone can't play positionless basketball. Point guards, especially the old school point guard of let me run an offense. Let me get my guys into position. I know we love the scoring point guards. We love Ja. We love Russ. We love these guys who can get you 20-plus, 25-plus a night. Tyrese Halliburton is a true point guard. And as someone who grew up being such a big fan of Chris Paul, it is a disservice to him, and I'll say it, stupid on my part, for not ever acknowledging him or giving him the proper credit he deserved, being the best true point guard in the NBA. Just flat out, that's what he is. He is the best true point guard in the NBA. He can run an offense. He can get his guys involved. He doesn't have to be the primary scorer just because he's the point guard. He can set guys up. He's getting assists. He's running an offense. He's doing all that stuff. And I have just never truly given him enough credit. So again, in that apology form that I got to write, let me say, my first apology, Tyrese Halliburton, what's the Shaq meme? I was unfamiliar with your game. Apologize, and let me apologize for being not just unfamiliar with your game, but ignorant about your game. Secondly, the role players on this team. Neiman, Miles Turner, Obi Toppin's even playing well. Like, this team doesn't have the quote-unquote star power or even the starting lineup quality of the Boston Celtics or the New York Knicks or even the Cleveland Cavaliers. And it doesn't matter. They're just flat out better. You don't have to have, the way you build a team is not, can I acquire more talent than everybody else? Yes, that's a good start. That's helpful. It's really cool when you can do it, but not everyone can be the Boston Celtics. Not everyone can be the Knicks and acquire trades and have Villanova connections. They've built an actual team in Indiana. Everybody has a role. Everybody has a purpose. They don't just live and die. That's the other thing, too. The last part of the apology, they don't just live and die on the three-point shot. Yes, they shoot threes, but they're not the Celtics shooting 40-plus threes a game. So the way they built this team, this is an old-school basketball team at its core. They have a real point guard. They are running a real offense. You see no Darius Garland, how Cleveland has been struggling. Like, yes, Donovan Mitchell had 48 points yesterday. Wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And Donovan's going to be able to get his. He's a great player. I was so confident the Cavs were going to win yesterday that I already was starting, when I was thinking at the beginning of the show, I was ready to come in here and say, how great is Donovan Mitchell, and are we not valuing him because he played for Utah and now plays for Cleveland, and those just aren't big market teams? And then I watched the game. I know it's crazy. We're not used to our commentators, our sports commentators, our media guys to watch every single game. And I'm watching this game, and I'm like, how do you not give credit to the Indiana Pacers? Tyrese Halliburton, the structure of the team, the role players. Everyone has not just a position, but a role. It's not just role players in terms of, we've generalized so much of the NBA. And, you're either a big, or you're a 3-and-D guy, or you're a lead guard. We have just classified everybody in these small boxes and said, oh, you're either this or get out the league. You're that or get out the league. The Pacers have an identity. They have actual roles. They have depth. And they have, to his credit, you've heard us talk, me, Tony, Will, everyone here on HardFoul, talk so much about that legendary Dirk 2011 run. Well, who was Dirk's coach during that legendary run? Rick Carlisle. And we got to give the Pacers credit, because say what you want, and even if you think and I probably, again, gun to my head, would say the Celtics are still better. The Celtics should still convincingly win a series against them. But the Pacers are going to be in back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals. That means something. So, Indiana, the state of Indiana, the Pacers franchise, Tyrese Halliburton, Rick Carlisle, Miles Turner, take all of you guys. This is my public apology. I was just wrong. I accept it. I was just wrong on you guys. Congratulations. Pacers up 2-0 in the series against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Incredible stuff, man. And that's, again, and I always say this is what's so cool about sports. Nobody has to be on your side. No one has to believe in you. No one has to give you anything. You go out there, you play the game, you kick ass, you take names, you prove your point. And that's why the Pacers are up 2-0 and most likely headed to the Eastern Conference Finals. Incredible stuff, man. Then to the other game last night. This is another one. I was ready to write I have so many Anthony Edwards coronation speeches ready to go. How great I think he is, how great this Timberwolves team can be. I've been saying if they get to the NBA Finals, Anthony Edwards is going to be the face of the league, and I still believe that. But last night, and we're going to get to the Steph Curry injury, it felt like the Wolves were feeling themselves. It felt like the Wolves, after beating the Lakers, started reading all the headlines, man, they're really good. Man, Anthony Edwards is going to be the face of the league. Man, even Rudy Gobert, look at what he's doing. 2020 game, he's out there playing like Shaq. Oh my gosh, how amazing are these guys? Everybody was giving them flowers. Everybody was giving them congratulations. And myself included, we're looking at the Warriors going, man, Warriors are, they barely beat the Rockets. I talked about how they reacted to beating the Rockets and that feeling like, for a team that has won with Steph and Draymond, who have won so many titles, and a coach, that it felt like this was a really overreaction to winning a first-round series, even if it was tough, even if it was physical. It just felt like an overreaction for a team with those kind of accomplishments. And they came out last night, and this is with, by the way, Steph being gone. So Steph injures his hamstring in the second quarter, does not return to the game. The Warriors, they make it muddy. They make it tough. They slowed down the game tremendously because they don't want to get, with no Steph, they didn't want to get in an up and down game with the Wolves. And congrats to the Warriors. Again, I have, and I'm still probably going to revisit it. We'll see how the series turns out. Some opinions on Steve Kerr. But congrats to Jimmy Butler. Congrats to Draymond Green. Congrats to Buddy Hield, who's been playing out of his mind. The Warriors, that is what a championship team does. Just, there's no other way to put it. That is what a championship team does. They just grind it out. They figure it out. The game wasn't going their way. Steph gets hurt. And they just, yes, it's low scoring, because they have to change the pace and style of play because they can't go up and down with them. Congrats to the Warriors. But I feel like the Wolves lost that. Again, they're reading, they're hearing. Everybody's giving them love. Everybody's congratulating them. Everyone's giving them praise. Oh my gosh, you just knocked out the Lakers. Oh my gosh, you just did this. And it showed, not just in a rust because they had the 5 days off. It just felt like they walked out there and expected to be the better team. They just expected the Warriors, after that series against Houston, that they were going to be low energy, that it was going to be tough on them because they had just played this extremely tough physical series. And then Steph goes out and it's like, oh, we can't lose this. We got this. We are going to run through them. And it just never happened. Anthony Edwards didn't make a jump shot until the fourth quarter. Like, that can't happen. Gobert, not nearly as impactful, especially when the Warriors muddied down the game and they kept it in the paint and they didn't want to be high speed. That's the kind of environment Gobert, the 4-time defensive player of the year, you were supposed to thrive in. And it just felt like a lot of, we're giving the Warriors, or we're giving the Wolves all this love, all this credit, and it was a sign of immaturity. They were not ready for all the praise. I still think they will win this series, especially if Steph's not able to come back, because hamstrings are a serious thing. So if the hamstring is not able to recover and he can't come back for this series, I'm obviously still going to go with the Wolves over the Warriors. But last night was a sign of, yeah, this team is still young. Yeah, this team still has some immaturity issues. They were reading everything, hearing everything. It was all good, all love, all just, praise on them. And they just weren't ready to handle it. And this will be a learning experience. And I still think Chris Finch is a great head coach. I think he will galvanize the team. I think they come back and win this series. But that was a lesson to be learned for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Oh, man, a lot more to talk about. When we come back, fatigue is starting to set in, and I know we don't ever really want to talk about that with professional athletes, but the way the NBA playoffs are set up, fatigue is absolutely a factor, as well as not serious in Celtics and Knicks games too. When we come back, this is HardFoul Radio. We'll be back momentarily.
Like my nigga, why you recording a baby shower on your stomach? What angle is this?
That shit is crazy. All right, let's go.
Two plates.
Ain't no. I'm not putting sour cream on nothing. First of all, that's not happening. If you think I'm using the sour cream at a freak off, first of all, if you think I'm eating any, like, nah, that's not.
The food is the crazy part. I mean, the food is just open, like it's just
If you
there.
think I'm just gonna assume everything roofie.
Everybody ass naked in here, stuff
Sweating and
touching
shit.
stuff, and the food just open.
Like a nigga pulling out mid-stroke to go grab a spoonful of rice or some shit. Like, that shit is crazy.
Nigga, ask you, do you want something? While you in there with two other people, y'all want anything?
What you say? He waiting in line for the train, eating the motherfucking taquito or some shit.
That nigga got to play the yellow rice and beef. Talking about, let me know when y'all finish.
Hey, when his turn come up, he tell the nigga, hey, hold this.
he hurry up, start eating the shit off it.
Yeah, he's coming up, he eat fast as shit.
Like my nigga, why you recording a baby shower?
Hey man, welcome back. This is HardFoul Radio. So fatigue, we don't ever really want to associate with high level athletes because it's their job. They're in shape. They're in some of the best shape in the world. But when it comes for the NBA playoffs, fatigue is absolutely a factor. And this is one of those things that would always made LeBron's run year after year, whether you want to say it was the weaker Eastern Conference or you want to say that it was a lighter schedule or easier competition. When you are playing this many games back to back, and every game now is every other day unless you win a series early and your next team does not. These teams, especially the older teams, so the Warriors, you see it, Steph with his hamstring. Jimmy, you started to see some fatigue last night. Draymond, you started to see fatigue, even though they won. When you see, again, the older teams especially, excuse me, when you have to play every other day, the teams start to know you better, the fatigue starts to kick in. It is not some easy process of just, oh yeah, go out there and play basketball. Like, you've already played 82 regular season games, and you just played a tough first round game, and now a tough first round series, and then now you got to play the second round, and then that's every other game. Then you're going to go to the third round. Then you're going to the NBA Finals. Look at how the Nuggets, who aren't exactly a young team by any means, look how they've been doing it. The way this works is these teams that are going to start struggling, these teams that are, the fatigue is just setting in, man. And you're going to start seeing this more and more. What I think a problem with, and this is why if the Pacers will be in the best position if they can actually either sweep or win in 5. Now, it's going to be tough. I think the Cavs are going to bounce back. But winning these series and getting that time off, I know everybody wants to go to the, oh, well, you get rusty, and oh, were the Timberwolves rusty last night? Trust me, you want to win these series quicker rather than later. You don't want to be playing every other game for the remainder of the playoffs. This is something that would have hurt the Lakers. Let's say the Lakers had come back. I heard this opinion that even if the Lakers, when they were down 3-1, that even if they had beat the Wolves, right, come all the way back down, win the series in 7, that would have, even if they would have won that series, they were dead going forward because they would have just been too fatigued. LeBron, 40-plus years old, Luka, not in great shape, and having to play every other game. Like, the fatigue is going to start becoming a real factor. When you see guys in game 5 and 6 of a second round, a third round series, and, you know, they're short on their threes or they're short on their free throws because they just don't have their legs on them. Because, again, 80-plus, and I know not everybody's playing 80-plus regular season games, but these guys are playing still 60, 70-plus regular season games. These guys are playing multiple series in the playoffs. The playoffs have been noticeably more physical, more tough. Again, Steph's hamstring, and Steph is in as great a shape as anybody. And Steph also runs around as much as anybody. And that is going to start being a factor of, is Steph Curry going to be able to continue doing this at the oldest he's ever been, right? Like, this is the oldest Steph's literally ever been that we've ever seen him in the playoffs. And is he going to be able to still be the guy that we've expected Steph to be and that the Warriors are expecting him to be if they really want to win a title? Everybody on the Warriors is convinced they're going to win. Draymond's telling they're going to win a title. Jimmy Butler's saying he's going to win a title. Steph is supremely confident. But that hamstring, especially, like, he could just be out the entire series. Again, it was just one game, but Steph leaving in the second quarter, not coming back, being pretty much announced immediately out for the game, that's a real issue for them. And for an older team like them, that's going to kick them in the ass. And they don't have a lot of scoring. They don't have guys. You can't just replace Steph Curry. Draymond's not going to suddenly start scoring you 20-plus a game. Jimmy Butler's going to have nights, but he's no longer a 25-plus a night guy. Like, this is going to start being a huge factor against teams like the Warriors, against teams, the Knicks, who play heavy minutes on their guys. That's the other thing. One of the biggest differences between now and the regular season, why this every other day matters even more, is guys are playing 40-plus minutes a night. Look at the amount of minutes the Knicks starters are putting on. Look at the amount of minutes the Cavs starters are putting on. Look at the amount of minutes the Warriors are playing. These guys are playing now 40-plus minutes every other night. It is just a lot to ask for them to do. And even though these are some of the best athletes in the world, these are some of the best conditioned humans in the world, fatigue does start to kick in. And there's nothing they can do about it. You know what time it is. It is time to look at the not serious things around the sports world. These are either topics or headlines that are just very unserious, whether it is the headline is unserious or the people or teams in question are unserious. And we got to start with breaking news. Unserious player traded to unserious team. George Pickens traded to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this is being reported and is supposed to be official later today. Look, man, I'm not going to say that, and Ian Rappaport tweeted this out. This is as of 3:50 this morning. It's about 10 minutes before we got live. Here's my thing with George Pickens. Is George Pickens clearly talented? Yes. It's just objectively yes. Do I think he's a difference maker? Not for a good reason. Look, George Pickens is going to the Cowboys. Again, unserious player, traded to unserious franchise. He's now going to have to, he's not going there to be the number one, and George Pickens probably views himself as a number one. But he's not better than CeeDee Lamb. He's not going to get more targets than CeeDee Lamb. And you can't have landmine players, and this is the unserious part about it. If you have a guy who goes to a team, and the Cowboys, I'm not nearly as high on them as maybe their own fan bases, or even some experts. There's a real chance they get off to a slow start. Do you really want George Pickens on a slow start? Do you really want him and CeeDee Lamb if you're 1-4? Because Dak, who's still coming off, is this the all-in move, Jerry Jones? Is George Pickens, you've been telling your fan base and your franchise and your star, everybody you've been saying for the last 2 years, we are all in, we are committed, we're going to do it. Is George Pickens really the culmination of all of that? And two, are you ready to pay George Pickens? Because he's going to want a contract. And again, I don't think he's a number one. He's clearly, in my opinion, I don't think it's that much of a hot take to say he's definitely not a number one on your team with CeeDee Lamb. And is he going to be happy and accept the role of being a bona fide number two receiver? I would say the easy answer should be yes. You go, you play with CD, you play with Dak, you hope the offensive line, they just drafted Booker out of Alabama, you hope that it recovers and this can be a good team once again, but there's no guarantee on that. I'm not going to sit here and say George Pickens is a rational person. Is George Pickens really the all-in move? Asking for a friend. So, shout out George Pickens again. He's most likely going to get a contract here too before the day is over, or you would assume at least. But looks like the trade details also here, sending to the Cowboys for a third-round pick and a late-round pick swap. Again, George Pickens is talented, but is he going to accept the role of actually being a third-round player? We'll see. I'm sorry, not a third-round player. Is he going to accept the role of being the second receiver, traded for a third-round pick? My apologies. I got tongue-tied there. Let's go over to look, man. We're going to go over to Major League Baseball. Shout out to 90 Feet. 90 Feet will be back tomorrow. At this point, and I know this has already kind of been established, we got to call certain franchises unserious. Look, man, the most heartbreaking thing is that Mike Trout, who unfortunately he's injured again. Yes, he's been in home runs, but has a career low batting average as of this point. The Angels are maybe the most unserious franchise in professional sports. We could say what we want about OKC, and I'm going to get to Sam Presti here in a second. We could say what we want, like OKC in basketball, and we're going to talk about this tomorrow. We know the talent that has been in Oklahoma City. We know the players. If you just do roll call, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, SGA, like the talent is so clearly there. And while I can criticize them that I feel like they should have won a title due to the level of talent they had, at least they're consistently a playoff team. At least they're consistently relevant. The Angels, who got off to a decent start a week and a half into the season, are again under 500. Mike Trout is again injured. What are we doing here, man? What are we doing here? This is, and maybe it's because baseball's just finally kicking itself back into popularity. It had a downtime, but like, this is not a this is Mike Trout, Josh Hamilton, Albert Pujols, Shohei Ohtani, CJ, Jared Weaver. Like, the talent's been there. The Angels have had multiple big stars, multiple big names in this franchise. You had Trout and Ohtani on the same team, and we're going to look and go, oh, well, of course that was a below 500 team. Like, and it hurts because Trout's one of the best players I've ever seen in my life. One of the best players I've ever seen in my life. But like, I was looking over standings last night, and I'm just like, what just an unserious, like, for a decade, you couldn't figure it out once, and Trout's going to end his career going to the playoffs one time? Again, Trout's one of the best players of all time, undisputed. You know how great you have to be when you've only made the playoffs once? And people still acknowledge you're one of the greatest we've ever seen? Unserious ass franchise, man. Unserious ass franchise. Okay, let's talk about Knicks Celtics game 2. Enough and unserious. So, the consensus around Knicks Celtics is that the Celtics missed a bunch of shots, and that's the only reason they lost. And I'm inclined to agree. I said it. It's what we'll see tonight. Game 2's tonight. The Celtics missed a bunch of shots, and you know, I think they will obviously. They're not going to hit. They were showing stats. They shot like 40+% against the Knicks this year from 3, and that's why they blew them out 3 of the 4 games. Maybe you're not going to get back up to that because that's maybe more regular season, catch a hot streak, you're shooting the shit out the ball, et cetera, et cetera. But it is mildly concerning, and I know Joe Mazzulla said that he loved the shots, and Joe Mazzulla is his own. I like Joe Mazzulla, but he is his own special and unique case as a head coach. I am a little worried about why was there not as many adjustments from either coach and or players, right? Like everybody said after the game, Jaylen Brown said, we can't just rely on threes to get us back in the game. We got to attack the basket, get to the line, change momentum. And again, I don't think the Knicks can beat the Celtics. I just don't. And if it happens, it'll be the most shocking thing to happen this playoffs, just flat out. But I did say, remember, I said this a few weeks ago, let's not just call them the super juggernaut, no way they can lose. Because we made similar talks about Milwaukee and Giannis when he won, Jokic and the Nuggets when he won, that they're like, oh yeah, this is clearly defending champs. They're going to go back. They got the best player, et cetera, et cetera. It's a little concerning that mid-game, during timeouts, during halftime, during quarter breaks, just even in a guy's mentality that they went, okay, we're clearly not shooting well from three. Even though we built a 20-point lead, we're seeing the lead evaporate. Jason Tatum, you're 6'10", and at multiple times you got a pick and roll and a switch where you had Jalen Brunson on you. Jalen Brunson, who has turned himself into a great NBA player, a great story, funny podcast, can't do shit with Jason Tatum. Just the reality. Can't do shit with Jason Tatum. And Jason Tatum decided that instead of either posting up Jalen Brunson or instead of attacking Jalen Brunson or going to the rim, forcing Karl Anthony Towns to have to do something, we just decided to keep taking threes and jump shots. The Celtics are tall. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Porzingis, Holiday. Like, this is a Derek White. Like, this is a tall team. This is a big team. They're not necessarily like wide body. Like, they don't have a quote unquote Steven Adams or Hartenstein on the Thunder, or obviously Jokic, who's another like really like just a big stout guy, or an Aaron Gordon. But this is a tall team. This is a team. This is the difference between having what the Nuggets did against the Thunder, which is Jokic took exactly what the defense gave him. And Jokic is an MVP multiple time. Jokic is one of the best players you've ever seen. Jokic is more accomplished than anyone on the Celtics. Just flat out. Like, I know the Celtics might get back-to-back titles, and you can start arguing titles versus MVPs, but right now as it stands, Jokic has 3 MVPs and a title that is more accomplished than anyone on the Celtics. So if anyone could just force what they do, and Jokic is more accomplished than anyone in the playoffs, let's just be, besides Steph. Besides exactly Steph, everybody else remaining in the playoffs, Jokic is more accomplished than. If anyone could just say, this is what I do, I'm not changing, force you to beat me, force you to stop me, it would be him. But instead, when he got switched with the smaller guy, he was posting him up. When he had the bigger guy, he was taking him out at the three-point line. He was taking what the defense gave him, adapting, adjusting, and that's why we saw the brilliant Game 2 performance. That didn't happen with the Celtics. And that's if we're going to say they're clearly the best team. Obviously, they're clearly the best team. No one's debating that. But if we're going to start discussing what could go wrong, that's something that can go wrong. The fact they did not adjust, that's an issue. Not saying that they're going to lose to the Knicks. Not saying that they can't win a title. Not saying they're still not great. But that's an issue. Like, let's just be honest. Like, that's an issue. We'll be right back. This is HardFoul Radio. And we are back. So I hope tonight, Nuggets Thunder, I hope tonight is decided by the players, and maybe this is some bias that's going to come out, but it's honestly how I feel, so I got to say it. SGA is a great player. I think SGA should be the MVP of the league. I also think that when SGA, this being his first playoff, this is going to be his first playoff run as the number one guy on a dominant team, and how he's played this season, I think there is potential issues with how this game is going to be officiated because we know the play style associated with him. Say what you want, he's a great player. He could score without free throws. I know he led the league in scoring without free throws. All of that is very true, but it's also very true that when he really needs it, he's going to the free throw line. Just the facts. And so I don't want this to be some overly officiated. Again, my issue with the Thunder is it feels like the Thunder get an entirely different set of rules. The Thunder are allowed to be physical. They should be. The Thunder are allowed to be aggressive. They should be. The Thunder are allowed to damn near push, shove, kick, scratch, claw, do whatever they need to, and Lou Dort's allowed to play tackle football. And the second the other team starts retaliating, and maybe this is strategy, and maybe I'm just not smart enough to understand the brilliant strategy of Mark Daigneault, that when something happens, right, they always say, you don't see the first person, you see the guy that retaliates. And what the Thunder do is they're physical, they're aggressive, they're probably a little too pushy, a little too handsy. I mean, hell, I saw Jokic literally get hugged mid-roll to the basket, and they didn't call the foul until he was at the layup, until he was literally shooting the ball. And then once the other team responds, because when you're hitting, scratching, clawing, being extra physical with other grown men, they are going to respond, and maybe they up their physicality too much, then they start calling fouls. And it's this really frustrating game that they play. Again, SGA is amazing. Mark Daigneault is a great coach. Lou Dort is a really good defender. Chet needs to step up, but again, Chet, it's his first playoff run. He is a really skinny guy. I'm not sure if he's going to be like, this is the problem with the playoffs and just grown men, and we'll see tonight. He's just getting bullied by, I think he's better than Aaron Gordon. But Aaron Gordon's just bigger, stronger, and can physically move from out of the way, and there's nothing you can do about it. In the NFL, it is a skill to move a man who does not want to be moved. You are forcing a man, you are putting your will on him and saying, I'm going to move you. You don't have a choice. And Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic are moving Chet Holmgren, and Chet Holmgren doesn't have a choice. They are moving that man beyond his will. And so I'm not going to say that they're not going to get calls. They're obviously at home, and you always get a better whistle at home. But I don't want to see some big foul fest. I'm really nervous about, again, I have my own opinions on Lou Dort. I just think Lou Dort's a dirty player, and I don't know how he's allowed to get away with it outside of, I just don't get it. I don't get how he's allowed to get away with it. Sorry. I would love to be unbiased, but there's not a good way to say that. I think Lou Dort's a dirty player. If you will look at his career highlights, it normally involves him injuring someone. He is not some super athlete. He is not some super technician. He is not some, it's not his hands or his feet or something that would make sense as to why he's a great defender. It just all looks dirty. So I have issues with that. The other part of this is that, again, I don't want to see some big foul fest. I'm excited to watch this game. I think it's really exciting. Again, Jokic, who is one of the best basketball players I've ever seen in my life, who, if they win, we are going to start the top 10 campaign for Jokic. It just is what it is. If Jokic wins this series, and let's say if Jokic gets another title, I'm just not sure look at his just mastery of the game of basketball. We got one more minute here. Look at his mastery of the game of basketball. Look what he was doing at the end of the game. He was not, and Jokic is not a great defender by, like, he's not going to be ever make an all-defense team or anything like that. But what he does in terms of how well he sees the game, how he played the inbounds, how he was running the offense, he just understands the game of basketball so damn well. And I'm not sure there's 10 guys ever who have been better at it than him. Like, it's incredible to watch. So, looking forward to the game. I'm hoping it's not a big foul fest. When we come back, something that was not serious yesterday turned into a fun thought exercise for today. This is HardFoul Radio. And we are back to start hour 2. This is HardFoul Radio. Appreciate everybody for tuning in today. So, this was, I'll admit, this was not serious yesterday. He said Justin Herbert, his job is to make Justin Herbert a Hall of Famer, and he believes he could do that. Okay? I then saw the internet decide that they think and the NFL Hall of Fame is definitely not the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. This is where it gets confusing, is we have 3, I don't know enough about hockey to talk about it. Out of the 3 major sports, baseball, NFL, and NBA, the Hall of Fame is drastically different. In Major League Baseball, you better just be the best player ever to get in. Like the MLB Hall of Fame is so restrictive, and because of the way they do votes, like, again, Ken Griffey Jr. was not a unanimous Hall of Famer. Some writer somewhere decided, you know what? Maybe the greatest player ever, or the greatest modern player ever, just wasn't feeling it. He missed too many games. Who cares if he had 600 home runs and was the player of the 90s? Just wasn't feeling it. Okay. So the MLB Hall of Fame is ridiculous to get into, and it's kind of its own joke. The NBA Hall of Fame is weird because it is unique, because it's not the NBA Hall of Fame. It's the Basketball Hall of Fame. So you see people so like in the NFL and baseball, Major League Baseball, no one cares if you're a multiple-time Olympian at your sport, or a gold medal winner, or a multiple-time national champion in college. That matters in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Carmelo Anthony, who got elected, and Carmelo would have made it off the NBA, but part of Melo's Basketball Hall of Fame case is his maybe greatest freshman season ever at Syracuse, national champion, player of the year, as well as at the time he retired, Kevin Durant has since passed him, the most points in men's Olympic basketball history. So it's the totality of your basketball career. Then, despite the statistical success, but because he has 2 rings, and partly because who he has those 2 rings against, Dan Marino is in the NFL Hall of Fame, despite having almost no playoff success outside of his second year in the league, but was just one of the greatest talents we've ever seen, greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen, no doubt Hall of Famer, right? The NFL is not as tough as baseball, not quite as easy as basketball. But that doesn't mean, and where Harbaugh's comments messed me up, was the reaction to it. Because fans on the internet were throwing everybody in the Hall of Fame. They're like, oh, well, this guy's a Hall of Famer. This guy's a Hall of Famer. Oh, well, he's better than this dude. He's a Hall of Famer. Look, the NFL's not baseball. It's not some super secret club where only literally the 0.00001% get in. But it's also not the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's somewhere in the middle. I don't want to say respectable, but it's somewhat there, right? And that got me thinking. Jim Harbaugh thinks that Justin Herbert can be a Hall of Famer. And Herbert, I get it, the very first start of his career, it was amazing. He came in against the Chiefs. No one even thought he was going to play. The arm talent is clearly there. The overall talent is clearly there. But this is the Hall of Fame. You have no All-Pros, 1 Pro Bowl, and you're not the best quarterback in your class that you were drafted in. These are issues when it comes to making the highest honor of your sport. So then got me to thinking, who's actually a Hall of Famer if everything was done today? I know we can project. I know we can say, well, this guy looks like one. But if we just had to say, who are the no doubt Hall of Famers today? Because this is the category that Jim Harbaugh wanted to put Justin Herbert into, right? So let's look at it. The no doubters. Let's start at quarterback. Now, these guys that are on this list have to be actively playing. So Julio Jones, who just retired, Julio Jones is a Hall of Famer. Julio Jones just retired. He's not making this list. When we get to offensive linemen, Zach Martin just retired. Zach Martin's going to be in the Hall of Fame. So let's start at quarterbacks, right? Because this is Justin Herbert's quarterback. Jim says, I'm going to make him a Hall of Famer. These are our guys. Mahomes, look, man, this one's easy. The resume speaks for itself. Multiple Super Bowls, multiple MVPs, the greatest 20s of an NFL career ever. We'll see what his 30s do, and that's obviously going to be the him and Brady debate. Lamar, say what you want. Lamar's already a 2-time MVP, a multiple-time first-team All-Pro guy. No, he doesn't have the Super Bowl or the super deep playoff run that you're probably going to want to see by the end of his career. Again, this is not projecting. This is if he stopped playing today. Lamar Jackson is the greatest dual-threat quarterback ever, a multiple-time MVP winner. He is in the Hall of Fame. And then, while he's not technically on a team, all signs point to the Steelers are signing him. So Aaron Rodgers, like him, love him, hate him, however you feel about him personally, Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer. Maybe the best thrower of the football we've ever seen still to this day. A 4-time MVP, a Super Bowl winner. Like, look, I know he was not good last year. The year prior, he was injured. This is still one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen play the game of football. Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer. The guys who just missed, and this is where it matters. Josh Allen, even though he just got his MVP, and all signs would point to projecting him in the Hall of Fame, not a Hall of Famer. A one-time MVP, no true deep playoff run makes you a Hall of Famer. You're great for this era, not a Hall of Famer. Joe Burrow, again, this is projecting. Yes, you made a Super Bowl with the Cincinnati Bengals, which I think is incredibly impressive. And is one of those like all-time stats flexes on your resume. But Joe's not a Hall of Famer. Do I think could you project him in there? Sure. But we're not doing projections. We are doing if they stopped right now. Because I want to emphasize how hard the Hall of Fame is to make still. If Joe stopped today, Joe Burrow's not a Hall of Famer. Matthew Stafford. Again, Stafford has the stats. He got the Super Bowl. Too many years being irrelevant in Detroit. I know Detroit was dysfunctional, but Matthew Stafford, not a Hall of Famer. This is how tough it is. We have 3 guys. One at the end of his career, the other 2 who had team success, the best 20s ever in Mahomes, and individual success, maybe the best ever in Lamar Jackson with the multiple MVPs. So those are our quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame. Let's go skill position. I'm going running back, receiver, tight end. And I want to be very clear here. The guy who I was probably the most hesitant on is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry did not make the Hall of Fame for me. I think Derrick is still like a year or 2 away, and I wanted to keep the status of if he retired right this second, would I say he's a Hall of Famer? It's tough. I think he is the best running back of his generation. It's also maybe the weakest generation of running backs in history. McCaffrey wouldn't do it for me. He spent too much time injured. So running back was tough, but I didn't actually think there was a Hall of Fame running back. So skill players, I have just Travis Kelce and DeAndre Hopkins. Kelce, this should be a no-brainer. Super Bowls, maybe the greatest tight end ever. All the same achievements that Mahomes had. His number one go-to weapon throughout his career has been Travis Kelce, the guy who's going to be his number one option. All these numbers, again, maybe the greatest tight end ever. Easy. DeAndre Hopkins, again, Julio Jones would have made this list, but because Julio officially retired, I didn't include anyone who was retired. These have to be all active players. Hopkins has, so Mike Evans was another close one to me, where I don't have Mike Evans quite as a Hall of Famer. DeAndre Hopkins was doing 1,400 yards a season with a different quarterback every single year. We are going to look back on DeAndre Hopkins' career and go, you had how many yards, how many touchdowns, with how many quarterbacks, and who were the quarterbacks? Like, until he got Watson, this was a shit show in Houston. And he was still productive. He was still all-pro. He was still catching 10-plus touchdowns. He was still getting you 1,400 yards. Like, again, the latter stage of his career, and obviously what happened with Watson in Houston, is going to take away from some of that. But this, in my opinion, I was a guy who was calling him the best receiver in the NFL because of his quarterback situation, because he didn't have a guy who was a clear, bona fide, all-pro, Pro Bowl level quarterback. He was just out there catching passes from you and me, and he was still putting up numbers. So, skill position guys, I got two. Again, the Hall of Fame is not easy to get into, and the Hall of Fame is especially hard on receivers. Like, again, Julio was so... When you hear guys talk about Julio Jones, this is the same way that my generation talks about, like, Calvin and Antonio Brown. Guys talk about Julio Jones and go, yeah, he didn't get the Super Bowl, but, like, nobody's better than him. And so Julio would have also made this list, but again, just retired. Offensive lineman, again, Zach Martin would have made this list, but he just retired. So I've only got one lock, and that's Trent. Like, Trent Williams is the one lock Hall of Fame offensive lineman. If he stopped playing right now, he's obviously old and has played forever, so it's not really a huge shock if he were to stop playing right now. But look, man, he's going to go down as one of the best left tackles of all time. It's going to be hard for anyone to ever push, like, Jonathan Ogden and Anthony Munoz out of that spot, but this is one of the all-time great offensive linemen. If you look at even the 49ers offensive line as he's gotten this rebirth to his career, it's not great. It never has been great, but it's had Trent Williams. And that was good enough where we never looked at the line and went like, oh, the 49ers offensive line is a weakness. No, he is this great. He is this dominant. He is a massive man. Again, I quote Mark Starth all the time. One of the best skills in football is, can you move a man against his will? And nobody's better at it than Trent Williams. Zach Martin, I feel bad, again, just retired a few weeks ago. Would have made the list. That's my, again, these are no doubt locks for the Hall of Fame. And went to defense. I realize now I am missing one guy, so apologize, Chiefs fans. I know you're going to call me a hater. I did forget the graphic for Chris Jones, so include Chris Jones on this list. But my no doubt Hall of Famers for defense are the three linebackers. Include Chris Jones. I know, Chiefs fans, I'm sorry. I forgot the graphic. I forgot to get it before the show started. Sue me. Chris Jones would make this. Again, Chris Jones, the best player on a defense for a dynasty. You're in the Hall of Fame. TJ Watt, maybe one of the most prolific starts to a career ever in NFL history. Very similar to his brother. Vaughn, Super Bowl MVP, two-time Super Bowl champ, top 20 all-time. I think he's top 15 all-time in sacks. And Bobby Wagner, who's been the best interior linebacker of a generation and for a decade. Also a Super Bowl champion. TJ, all he needs is a Super Bowl, but he has all the individual success and stats. The guy who probably just missed out for me, I believe in my heart of hearts, Myles Garrett will be here. But Myles, because of the nature of the position, needs a few more counting stats before I'm willing to say, oh yeah, he's for sure. He makes all the pace stats. Like, he's got all the pace stats. But TJ actually has better pace stats for the same position. And so, again, I believe in my heart of hearts, Myles Garrett will get there. I think he's that great. I think he's that dominant. But if I'm saying right now, these are I have what, 5, 6, 9, and then Chris Jones would be 10. 10, no doubt, Hall of Fame players. Again, I think that Myles Garrett will get there. I think there's a handful of offensive linemen that will get there. I think you really want to project, the quarterbacks are all still relatively young, but I believe Burrow will get there. I believe Josh Allen will get there, but they're not there yet. I think on the defensive side of the ball, Pat Surtain's already, his peak is Hall of Fame level. I think he will get there. But if I have to do just right now, Harrison Smith is another guy who I think is really close. But Harrison Smith started Hall of Fame-esque to his career, and the back half of his career, and because he's played so long, is just really good player. And I'm not sure that's going to get him in the Hall of Fame. These are my no doubts. Again, Chiefs fans, sue me later. Chris Jones is 1,000% a Hall of Famer. I get it. These are my 10. They are no doubt Hall of Famers as of May 7th, 2025. So, discuss, debate, have fun with the list. Those are my guys who I would say are no doubt clear Hall of Fame players. When we come back, excuse me, Giannis in a big city? We'll see. This is HardFoul Radio. I'm gonna get this the trade. Adam Silver got a veto. Adam don't do much, but Adam, if you do something, you get this the trade. You got a veto. But I'm gonna propose it anyway. I'm gonna send LaMelo and 2 first rounders for Ja.
Ja who? Rule? LaMelo and 2 first rounders for Ja.
And I'm gonna re-up with Miles Bridges. I know he just signed a contract extension, but I'm re-upping again.
That nigga said we going to take Tupac off of death row and put him on Cash Money. Like, nigga, what?
Listen, I don't want John Morant and Miles Bridges nowhere near each other.
You put that nigga on what's this shit called? You put him on fucking Jay Prince label.
Rap a lot.
He put him on Rap a Lot. That nigga took him off. He took him off Death Row and put him on Rap a Lot.
Adam, who says no? Who says no?
I'm calling that shit gangland.
The police, nigga.
Don't forget to check out Group Chat Podcast every Sunday. Check out 90 Feet every Thursday, A&M Friday mornings. Appreciate you guys all for listening. So, supposedly, and when it comes to the European guys, I'm even less inclined to think, unless they have a unique friendship situation, I'm even less inclined to think that American reporters have actual insights on them. I just don't think it happens. Or I think it doesn't happen, or they're as insightful as we want to give them credit for. Because a lot of the European guys, they just don't do things the way American players do. They're a little bit different. And it's a cultural thing. It's where they grew up. And so it's not a criticism. It's just the reality. They're different. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Bucks lost in the first round. He is going to be one of those guys that people are talking about all offseason. Where should he go? Should they trade him? This, that, and the third. And what I'm here to say is not so much that I don't think Giannis can be traded, or not that I don't think there is credibility to him wanting out of Milwaukee, but I don't think it's going to play out exactly as people think it will, nor do I think it's going to play out exactly as a individual reporter could predict. Look, again, the European guys they act different, they handle it different, they do things different. Not a criticism, just reality. When it comes to Giannis, and I think this is going to also impact just all players, but let's talk Giannis specifically. Giannis feels it's that unique loyalty that these guys have. Again, Luka Doncic just got traded this year, and by all accounts went to a better situation. The Lakers are a better team, better organization. Guys are going to want to come play with them in LA, versus all of those things might not have existed in Dallas. And Dallas, at least in the Mark Cuban era, was a respectable franchise, was a good franchise. They have winning there. They've had ownership now seems a little funny because of the trade, but have had good ownership, have had success. They have everything you would want a good team to have. And Luka was heartbroken, according to pretty much everybody, including himself, so much so that when he did an interview with ESPN, he showed his phone that was still broken because of how upset he was when the Mavericks traded him. So, again, the European guys are just different. They are uniquely loyal. And I'm not saying the Bucks aren't like Giannis is in a position to demand something from the Bucks, or even if he was to request a trade, I'm not saying it's impossible. The European guys are just different. What I will also add, though, to that, the part that affects everybody is if Giannis were to leave, does this set a bad precedent for future stars asking for more players? I know we all want to be pro-player friendly. We don't give a fuck about billionaires. These guys have, they have $1 billion. They're running teams. We don't really care about their feelings per se. But their opinions do matter because they own these teams. They talk to each other. And they do truly run the league to a certain extent. Billionaires don't like to be fucked over. and by the way, any of these conversations, we have to take LeBron out of it. LeBron played out every single one of his contracts to a T. He never left early, never requested a trade. He went places in free agency, which is 1,000% his right. So do not include LeBron James in this scenario. If the status quo is, I can demand players, Giannis said, get me guys. So they got him Drew. They got, which ended up in a title. They then got him Dame. Then, if he requests out, because now Brook Lopez is older, Portis is older, Dame is going to miss a season due to the ACL. It's obviously really bad in Milwaukee. But if he requests out when it's at its worst, how is that going to affect future stars when they ask their team, hey, I need so-and-so. I want this guy. I want this coach. But if it goes bad and I'm still great, I'm going to leave. This is similar to, because now we'll have another example of this, because James Harden did this. James Harden asked for 1,000 different people in Houston. He wanted Dwight Howard. Then he wanted to get rid of Dwight Howard. He wanted Chris Paul. Then he wanted to get rid of Chris Paul. He wanted Russell Westbrook. Then he wanted to get rid of Russell Westbrook. And once it finally started to get bad in Houston, and James was still scoring 30 a night, he put on the fat suit. He said, I'm not showing up. I don't care anymore. Get me out, and I'm going to make an ass out of myself until I'm out. That didn't sit well with Rockets ownership. And say what you want if you care about Rockets ownership or not. You don't have to care about the individual person or the ownership group, but owners don't like to be fucked with in that manner. These are generally alpha males. They've gotten what they've wanted their whole life. There's a reason they have $1 billion net worth and they own these teams. If Giannis does the same, teams are going to be far more reluctant to trading away their future, because what it means is Giannis will go somewhere. Like if Giannis gets traded, he'll go somewhere. The Bucks will suck horrifically for a year or two and hope they draft guys who become their next Giannis, or at least a good enough core of just below Giannis to where they can compete again. But that's 2 seasons of lower ticket sales, because people aren't going to be excited to come see your team, especially in Milwaukee. You're not going to be able to charge as much for your ticket sales because you don't have the attraction that is Giannis Antetokounmpo, and probably just flat out less revenue because you're not going to be a playoff team, which means less games you can sell to your fan base in general. So I get less money, I'm less relevant, and you can just, you the employee can tell me what to do. Owners don't like that shit. Again, the Rockets look good now. The Rockets had to go through 2 to 3 years of post James Harden of this sucks. We don't have enough talent. We're not selling out playoff games. We can't charge the same ticket prices because we don't have a James Harden anymore. Owners don't like that. They're going to push back on this. Again, this is the thing of like the whole player empowerment era of where it got messed up is LeBron did it correctly. Truly. LeBron played out all his contracts. LeBron was always competitive. LeBron got you to deep playoff runs, if not the finals. And when he was done with his contract, when he was done with his obligation, he said, I'm going to do what's best for me. 1,000% fair. 1,000% fair. The guys who are requesting out, again, Jimmy Butler in Miami. Pat Riley's pissed off. But Pat Riley's still an employee. The ownership of Miami, who now have to convince their fan base in Miami, where there's a million things to do, there's beaches, there's nice waters, there's pretty girls to look at. You have to convince them, hey, pay the same ticket prices, the same absurd ticket prices to come watch Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero and us be 12 games under 500. Don't go to the beach. Don't go to the really nice clubs. Don't go to these really nice parties. Come watch Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero and watch us struggle to be in the play-in and this year, funny enough, sneak into the playoffs and get swept. Jimmy pouted, wanted out because he didn't get what he wanted. Giannis, if he does the same thing, Harden pouted, left out because he didn't get what he wanted. And is Giannis going to do the same thing? Now, again, it's Milwaukee. It's not necessarily the attraction that is Miami or New York. And that matters. I don't know if it matters for Giannis because he's a superstar off play alone. I think it's very apparent that someone like Jalen Brunson is clearly a bigger star than he probably would be if he was doing this in a smaller market because he's in New York. He's with the Knicks. Tyrese Halliburton, who's probably a better player, but because he's in Indiana, he's not going to get the same press. Donovan Mitchell is not going to get the same. Donovan Mitchell's a way better player than Jalen Brunson. Donovan Mitchell will never be considered as, we will never look at him the way we probably should because he's played in Utah for years and he's played in Cleveland. But look at Utah when he was there. Utah, when he was there, was a 1 seed. I know that sounds insane, but Utah was a 1 seed with Donovan Mitchell. Cleveland is now a 1 seed with Donovan Mitchell. Should be a bigger star, but Cleveland, Utah, not really big markets. It happens. Giannis is a all-time player, all-time great, NBA champion, so it's not as big of a deal if he's in Milwaukee. I'm not sure. I'm not really convinced that the European guys just want the big city. Again, Luka was heartbroken going from Dallas to LA, and Dallas isn't a small city by any means, but LA is obviously LA. So there's a lot to consider here, and I'm not sure if it's just as simple as trade Giannis to a big market team. The owners will start to push back. That's the reality of it. They do it in the NFL. They do it in Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball has no salary cap, right? And so everyone's upset about what the Dodgers are doing, but they're not trying to enforce the salary cap. You know what Major League Baseball owners want to do this offseason? They want to force the Tampa Bay Rays to sell because there's revenue sharing, and because there's revenue sharing, the Rays owner, who is notoriously cheap, is making more money, but he's not investing it back into the team, so he's basically just taking the other billionaires' money and putting it in his pocket. And that's what made them go, hey, knock it off. Please get out of our sport. Not because there's not competitive or not fair and the salary cap. No. You are taking another billionaire's money, and they don't like that. That's all. They just don't like that. So, again, what's Giannis going to do? I don't know, but I do think there is something here of like what decision he makes is going to impact future players, future teams, etc., etc. When we come back, we close out this Wednesday. This is HardFoul Radio. Appreciate everybody for tuning in today. I'm joined, as always, by the Father Willis in the building. How we doing, man?
Sensational.
How was drinking after 40? I hear that shit hits harder.
Yo,
Drinking at 40 is crazy. Number one, I never said I was. First, I'm 32. As of like a week and a half ago. Second, I didn't even say I was drinking. I just said I was outside.
So you gonna convince everybody you was outside and had no alcoholic beverages at all?
Nah. I'm just saying I never said I was drinking. I ain't say I wasn't either.
I understand. Understandable. This nigga said in the text message before we got on this shit talking about like, yo, I'm about to have a macchiato.
I did not say I was about to have a macchiato. Tony said something about Italian, so I just had Italian style.
I heard macchiato.
No, I said you can never go wrong with a macchiato. I got regular coffee though.
All right. I'm joined. Excuse me. Oh man. So, closing out here. HardFoul Radio. Appreciate everybody for tuning in along. Appreciate people that get up early enough to watch me live. Those of you that watch on YouTube, listen to the podcast. Appreciate you as well. Don't forget to listen to the other shows we got here. So I am curious, and the Warriors are going to help me figure out if this is going to work or not. Because this might not matter if the Warriors don't win. I've been on record as far as saying the first round of the NBA playoffs should go back to 5 games. I just don't think we need 7 games for our first round series. Was it fun? Did it give us some moments? Yeah. But I think generally speaking, when you're playing a long series, the better team wins. You don't need 7 games to decide who's better between the Rockets and Warriors. Because look, and the Rockets fans are like, well, we got back to game 7. It's like, and you still lost. So the Warriors would have won if this was a 5-game series. They would have won it 3-1. It was a 7-game series, so they won it 4-3. Congrats. I am curious, though, because the Warriors did something in round 1 that I don't think the NBA wants, and I'm now curious, now that they've stolen game 1, are they going to do this tomorrow? Which is, Steph's hurt, our guys are tired. Do we just throw this game away? Are we going to, quote-unquote, tank or load manage in the postseason? And that sounds nuts. But they did it in round 1. Game 5, they knew they had game 6 at home. They were already playing guys heavy minutes. Steph had to play 44 minutes game 1 of the first round. And they said, why keep throwing him out there for so many minutes? Why not just let, we're down. Yeah, we could come back, but if we don't, are we going to exert too much energy? We have game 6 at home. We stole home court. Are we? And Steve Kerr threw basically the white flag in the third quarter and said, yeah, I'm good. Guys aren't going to play anymore. The NBA does not want that. The NBA does not want teams, and I get it from a competitive standpoint. It's similar to what OKC was doing with fouling up 3. That should be illegal. Like, it's just not a good viewing product. And this isn't like the, not tush-push viewing product. This is like the same reason why you can't foul away from the ball, and the other team still needs to keep the ball because they don't want you just fouling away from the ball on a team center who shoots 50% from the free throw line because it makes a really dull and boring game. Aaron Gordon saved the game the other night because he hit the game-winning shot, and that was exciting. But otherwise, it was a really boring last 10 seconds of basketball that turned into about 5 minutes of just fouling nonstop. So the NBA doesn't want that. Adam Silver should step in. The NBA also doesn't want a team just throwing away a playoff game because they played heavy minutes to win a game and then said, okay, now that we have home court, we can give you guys this game because it no longer matters. As long as we win our home games, we could lose the away games. Because does Steve Kerr take it next level and go, I think we're going to talk about this a little bit to lead off the show tomorrow too. Is he going to take it next level and go, I already have thrown away games 2 and 5. He is going to play way less minutes for his starters and his regulars. He's going to let all the bench guys go out there. And who cares if we lose them? We're just going to maximize game 3, game 4, game 6 because that wins the series. And that's by definition, that's smart. It's unfortunate, but that is smart. But it's a horrible viewing product. Now, I don't think regular teams will do this, but I do think the Warriors are unique. Their star is older. Their star is hurt. Now, if Steph just doesn't come back at all, this won't matter. But if Steph, again, like let's say Steph's just out for game 2, and Draymond only plays 20 minutes, and Butler only plays 20 minutes, are they just going to reserve them and say, hey, we're going to win game 3, 4, and 6 at home. We don't care about games 2 and 5. Strategically smart, bad viewing product. Adam Silver might have to step in. I'm not predicting this. I'm just saying this could happen. The other game tonight, obviously, is the Celtics Knicks. We talked about them a little bit earlier. The Celtics, I do think, will shoot better. I think almost from a mentality standpoint, I don't think it matters what the score is of this game. I think it's more stylistically. And I think the Celtics got to score in the paint. I think the Celtics have to prove that they can score inside. They can get to the rim. They can attack the Knicks, who don't have a true rim defender. Karl Anthony Towns is just okay as a defender. Obviously, his talent is on the offensive side of the ball. But you need to have not only a dominant game shooting the ball, because we all know you can shoot and you're going to shoot better. Cool. Last night, or the game 1 was an anomaly. We get that. But you need to prove you can get to the rim. You need to prove you can attack the Knicks. You could do what you want. Prove why you're the better team. Prove why you're actually the best team in the Eastern Conference, even if you're the 2 seed, not the 1. Do what you need to do. It's that simple. With that being said, appreciate everybody. As always, this is HardFoul Radio. Don't forget to check out A&M.